Good afternoon from Compassion in America. I'm Tricia Clay, and I'm here talking to one of our candidates who would like to introduce himself. David?
Hello, Patricia. This is David Krucoff. I'm an independent candidate for the District of Columbia delegate position, which is the non-voting representative position to Congress from the District of Columbia. We have a congressperson who functions in Congress as the delegate, and she or he interacts with congresspersons and does not vote on the floor of the House of Representatives. Presently, this person, she actually votes in committee, but that's dependent upon whether her party or not might be in charge. Our candidacy is not, or my candidacy is not related to a party, it's independent. So I'm running for Congress, and I look forward to speaking with you today.
That's great. So you're in a really unique position in the District of Columbia.
Yeah, there are a few delegates. There's one from like the Virgin Islands or Puerto Rico and that kind of thing. There's a handful of them, and the most notable one is the one in the District of Columbia.
So David, what does compassion mean to you?
Well, compassion means to me caring for others, an understanding of where others come from, and wishing to help others, to treat them with respect, tenderness, and empathy. And we look to do all those things in our campaign and throughout the process of working with the voters in the District of Columbia, and in fact, all the residents of the District of Columbia, whether they can vote or not.
So what led you to take the Compassion in America pledge?
Well, I looked at your pledge, and I really appreciated you all reaching out to me in our campaign. And I found that the tenets of your pledge were consistent with our campaign and with some of the philosophies by which I try to live my life and by which we are running for Congress. So being empathetic, listening, having integrity, being honest, caring about the folks that are voting for you more so than you care about your own ambitions. These are sort of some of the foundations upon which we are running for Congress. And so that's consistent with a lot of what the Compassionate Pledge is about. And I also think it harkens back to the Declaration of Independence and some of the aspirations of the Declaration, which I find to be profound. So I enjoyed learning about the Compassionate Pledge, and I appreciate working with you all to espouse those directions and that pledge to others.
Right. So we were talking a little bit about how we've got a very polarized society at this point, and how there's a lot of nuances that are being lost. And I think, being an independent candidate puts you in a unique position because you don't have the platform that you have to agree to or abide by or be held to. What led you to think about becoming an independent candidate?
So first off, I would like to let you all know that I'm part of something called the National Association of Nonpartisan Reformers. So we look at the body politic as right now in a little bit of a frayed condition, and we look to repair our meniscus. We need to snip away a little bit and make it better. And part of the problem, we believe, is that the parties, or we call it the duopoly, are really beholden to themselves and really running the show in a manner that is not effective. And it only really helps them get reelected, or sort of the power players. It's sort of like beholden to their own egos, as opposed to any policy forward condition or results. Uh, in the District of Columbia, we do not have a healthy body politic. We have a one-party dominant structure. In the campaign for which I am running, which is the most premier position in the District of Columbia besides the mayor, there is not even a Republican on the ballot. Okay, so there is the incumbent, and she's been there for 30 years or 15 terms. And there are a few independents like me, and there's another party called Statehood Green, and the Libertarian is backed out. There's no Republican. So that's one thing you all should know about. The other thing is that our whole campaign, when I say our campaign, I mean Krucoff for Congress, is designed to reach out to an exhaustive majority of Americans, and not just Washingtonians, but to Americans. If you go to our website, there's two ways to get there. There's KrukoffForCongress.com, but there's also thepurplenewdeal.com, which takes you to KrukoffForCongress.com. So our whole methodology is about passionate pragmatism and implementation of ways that make our system work better. We feel that the non-voting delegate position from the District of Columbia is the ideal platform from which to espouse that point of view.
Right. I love the name, the Purple New Deal. So what led you to that terminology?
Well, I have a little bit of, I believe I have some effectiveness with coining a phrase. So I'm the creator of Douglas County, Maryland, which, as you might can tell, is the sort of a merger of the DC and Maryland flags.
Right.
Which is a process of, which basically is advocates for a second retrocession, which I invite all of your watchers of this video to Google what retrocession is and what Douglas County, Maryland is. So I created a 501c4 with the name Douglas County, Maryland, named after Frederick Douglass, who was born in Maryland, but who died a second-class citizen, not by nature of his color, but by nature of his residency on Cedar Hill and Anacostia. And the initials of Douglas County, Maryland are DC. So after I created Douglas County, Maryland as a political organization, all of a sudden Eleanor Holmes Norton and Muriel Bowser started calling DC the 51st state Douglas Commonwealth. Well, we could be the 51st state, or we could actually get it done, and we could have a second retrocession and become Douglas County, Maryland. And it follows the path of what is now called Arlington County, Virginia, which fell back in the 1840s. So coining a term, making a brand, something that I have a little bit of, I think I can do a little bit. So Douglas County, Maryland, the Purple New Deal. Also another term, which I invite everyone to explore, is the notion of the Reforming Twenties. So I have written an article, and it's a label, the Reforming Twenties. So we are in a process of reform, where right now we recognize that the polar deep blue and the deep red are pulling us apart, but there's a tremendous majority in the middle there. I mean, people think that there's just only this many people that are persuadable. Well, we do not agree. We believe that the middle is quite large, and that it's just having them feel comfortable enough to be persuadable. Right now, they don't feel so comfortable to be persuadable in the first place because they are pulled so far to one side by, frankly, narrow-minded or belligerent forces within either side. So you can't even have a, a discussion about something without being called, a racist or whatever. So we rebel against that, and we think that over the course of this decade that we are going to change that, and that's why I came up with the term the Reforming Twenties as a branding of our period of time. So whether it's the Reforming Twenties, the Purple New Deal, Douglas County, Maryland, that's, I think I can come up with a phrase.
Right. Well, it's as we're trying to do with Compassion in America is put narratives forward, right? Talking about civics and what the structure of our government and how it actually works, and how, like you and I were discussing, capturing the imagination or leading people by allowing them to be able to picture it a different way. Like right now, we're very, it's red or blue. And like I've heard from many people, like things like if you're a moderate or centrist, that means you don't believe anything, which is ridiculous. Or,
That's totally ridiculous. Yeah.
All these kind of crazy things. And you may be passionate about certain ideas, which lead people to believe that you're deep red or deep blue, right? And that's not always the case. So
right. So I'd like to make a point about that. Is that it's a more binary choice at the presidential level. We can recognize that, but at the congressional level, you, as a member of Congress, please act and live by the way you were, as a person, not by the way that your party leader tells you you must do something, right? So
right.
Congress is frankly impotent to the executive now and is beholden to a 4-year process of the executive's reelection or new election. And that's not the way it should be. So we look to have reforms that make the system work better, whether it's ranked choice voting and open primaries, whether it might be multi-member districts, maybe it might be term limits, things that will help congresspersons feel less encumbered and more true to who they are. And if they're not who they are, who their voters think they should be, they can get voted out. But when you're up there, I think most people go up there for good reasons. They really think they can make a difference. Well, let them try to make a difference and not be stuck in, for example, if I'm elected, am I going to be allowed to serve on a committee? Do you think I'll be allowed to serve on a committee, Patricia?
I don't know. Probably not, right? I mean, I don't know.
Justin Amash became an independent. He relinquished his affiliation with the Republican Party. I think it was earlier this year, it might have been in 2019. Okay, the Republicans in the House of Representatives, he lost all of his committee assignments. He basically sat in his office with his staff, and now he's not even running again because he didn't feel like the Republicans were representing who he was as a person. He decided to become an independent, and they said, "You're out. You can't even serve on a committee." I think that's abhorrent. Now, Bernie Sanders is an independent, or Agnes Clay is an independent. They're both senators, but they caucus with the Democrats. They choose, okay, I'm going to caucus with the Democrats, so therefore I'm going to get my committee assignments. Why should they be forced to caucus? Where is that written? So, and I don't know if you know, Patricia, but the Rules Committee in the House of Representatives, which makes the rules,
right,
is by design, it has to be 9-4 for who's ever in charge in terms of the parties. So if the breakup of the of the House of Representatives would have made the 13-member Rules Committee more pro rata share 7-6. It's not 7-6. It's 9-4.
Right.
So if for some reason it was 7-6, and there was more chance that somebody was like, you know what, I'm with the other six in this one. This rule actually should be changed. They can't get there because it's 9-4 by law, by their own rules.
Right, right. It's
Okay.
how we have laws, right? And then the rules, well, like the rules of the Senate, that things don't even come up to vote.
Right. So in another way, yeah, right. So the filibuster is an interesting rule. When you have a interesting committee hearing, I petitioned to be the witness for the GOP in a hearing for HR 51 in September of 2019. They did not choose me to be their witness. They chose Roger Pilon from the Cato Institute. But the GOP was afforded one witness. They couldn't have me with the retrocessionist point of view, and the Democrats had four witnesses for the 51st statehood point of view. And then there was Roger Pilon, who had his point of view, which I do not agree with whatsoever. And there was no one with a nonpartisan or centrist or passionately pragmatic point of view there at the table. Now I was in the back of the room, and I could raise my hand. Why don't you call on me?
Right.
But they're not going to call on me because it was all preordained. It was sort of a dog and pony show.
Right. The
By
political
design.
theater.
Yes,
Right?
yeah,
Rather than actually listening out the different points of view in a way that might be persuadable to, like you were saying, if representatives are actually being themselves and not just towing some party line.
correct. That's why we're running for Congress right there.
And I think that that's exactly what the kind of engaged public employee that we would like to see running for representative government across the United States, because that's what we need. We need to be engaged.
Right, but one other thing is that if we have that point of view of being beholden to who you are, but at the same time who you are is compassionate, now we're talking, right?
Right.
So if you are compassionate, empathetic, and dignified, ethical, all these things, and you also will be your own free thinker, let's elect that person to Congress.
Yes. Then I think we really can get things done and have a representative democracy where all of the people are represented, not just
Right.
the
So
right and the left.
whether you vote for me or not, I would be your congressperson, or the other person would be your congressperson. You are represented, and um, you know, if maybe next time around the other person will win, but in the meantime, let's work within the rules. Let's work within the law. Let's be compassionate. Let's not lose sight of love thy neighbor, and all the things that make our country strong.
I agree. Thanks for taking the time today, David, of your busy schedule. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you for asking me to participate, and I look forward to working with you and your organization more in the future.